Hi, I'm Stephanie Jaworski of joybaking.com. Today we're going to make an apple tart. This is probably one of my favorite apple tart recipes. And I've been making it for about 20 years, and I really like the combination of a shortbread crust with a cream cheese filling and then slices of apples and shaved almonds. It's really delicious. So to begin, preheat your oven to 450 degrees Fahrenheit, that's 230 degrees Celsius, and we will need a 9-inch, that's 23 centimeter springform pan. And a springform pan has two parts, like this, and you put the bottom plate in and then just clamp it shut with the thing. And then either spray it with a non-stick spray, or I'm just going to lightly butter and do both the bottoms and the sides of the pan. Okay, that. And then for the, this is a standard shortbread recipe. We're going to use a food processor. If you don't have a food processor, you can just do this by hand. And I'm going to put in 1 cup, that's 130 grams of white all-purpose flour, and 1/3 of a cup, that's 35 grams of confectioner sugar. You might know that as powdered or icing sugar, and just a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And then I'm just going to pulse this just to blend everything together. Simple enough. And to that I'm going to add 1/2 cup, that's 113 grams of butter, and have it cold, and I've just cut it into small pieces. And then I'm just going to pulse this to blend everything together. And when it starts to clump, then you know it's done. We don't want it like a solid ball, just starting to clump. Okay, that's good. So this is how you want it. Just not a solid, but it is starting to come together. And then just dump it into your springform pan. And then I'm just going to spread this on the bottom and about 1 inch, 2.5 centimeters up the sides of the pan. Want a bit of a shell to hold the filling and the apples. As you can see, this is a pretty easy crust to make. Okay, and now just cover it with a piece of plastic wrap, and I'm going to put it in the fridge, and then we'll start the filling. And now for the filling. We'll start with the apples. We will need 4 cups, that's about 1 liter, of sliced apples, and you want to use a firm textured apple, one that holds its shape when it's baked, and I'm going to use a Granny Smith today. And I'll just show you how I slice an apple. I take the whole apple and just slice it in half. And then I cut on either side of the core. So just straight down, turn it, straight down, and then on the bottom side of the core and straight across. I mean, there's various ways. Some people just like to peel the whole apple and then cut it in half, but I find this is really pretty fast to do. And then I just, this small paring knife, just cut off the skin. Now, if your sliced apples are going to sit for any amount of time, you might want to squeeze a little bit of fresh lemon juice. That prevents the apples from turning brown. Okay. And then you want them in about 1/4 inch slices, like that. Easy enough. Granny Smith's a nice apple to use because it's available year-round and it's of good quality. Of course, they're especially good in the fall. Okay, so I have about 4 cups, and I'm just going to put that in a large bowl. And then we want to just sweeten them with a little cinnamon sugar. So I have 1/4 cup, that's 50 grams of granulated white sugar. And I'm just going to add about 1/2 teaspoon of ground cinnamon and just stir that together. And then just toss the apples. This adds a really nice flavor to the apples, like a pumpkin pie, or sorry, apple pie. Okay, and that's our apples. Clean that up. Okay. And now for our cream cheese filling. I'm using the food processor again, and we will need 8 ounces, that's 227 grams of room temperature cream cheese. I like to use a full fat for this. And I'm just going to pulse this until it's nice and creamy and smooth. And then I'm going to add 1 large egg and have that at room temperature, along with 1/2 teaspoon of pure vanilla extract and 1/4 cup, that's 50 grams of granulated white sugar. And we're just going to, I'll just scrape down the sides here. Just going to mix all this until it's nice and creamy and smooth. Now, if you didn't have a food processor, you could just do this your electric mixer or with a hand mixer, just as good. This way we use the food processor for the crust, and we only one thing to wash up. Okay, and that's done. So now I'm just going to get the shortbread crust from the refrigerator. Okay, that's nice and chilled. So, just going to pour the cream cheese filling. It's almost like a cheesecake. It's very nice with the apples and the shortbread. This is really nice, like warm from the oven. When the shortbread crust is really nice and crisp, and the filling is nice and soft. The apples. It's a really nice dessert. So then just spread out your filling. And as you can see, I've put the pan on a larger baking sheet, and we do that just in case there's any leakage from the apples. We don't want it to mess up our oven. Okay. It's good. And then just, don't need to be fancy, just pile the apples on top of the filling. Spread them out as evenly as you can. Okay. And then just sprinkle about a half a cup, that's 50 grams of sliced flaked almonds on top. It's a nice crunch. And it decorates it. It looks really nice on the top. They get all nice and brown. Okay, so now into the oven for 10 minutes at 450, and then we're going to reduce the oven temperature to 400, that's 200 degrees Celsius, for another 25 to 30 minutes. What you want is the filling to be set, but if you kind of shake the pan, it's a little wobbly, and if you take a sharp knife and insert it into the apples, they'll be nice and tender. Okay, our apple tart is now done. As you can see, it's a beautiful golden brown color. The crust is nicely browned and the apples. If you take a sharp knife and insert it into one of the apples, it'll be just nice and tender. So we need to let this sit for probably about a half an hour, and then we'll remove the sides of the pan. So once you let the apple tart cool, we can remove the sides of the pan. So take a sharp knife, and what I like to do is just run it along the inside edge to separate the crust from the sides, because what we don't want is that crust to stick and then lose part of that nice crust. So then take the side and then just unclamp it gently, just to make sure that there's no part of the crust sticking to the pan, and then just gently remove. So there we have the apple tart. Now, you could just serve it like this, or I oftentimes like to just dress it up a little by taking some powdered sugar and just sifting it over the top. Like I said, this is delicious warm from the oven or room temperature, or you can even cover and store leftovers in the refrigerator. It's very good cold. So until next time, I'm Stephanie Jaworski from joyofbaking.com.